Let's jump into it, man, because I don't know about you, but we sit open houses a lot, licensed broker as well, do a lot in sales. We've sold a lot of product involved with vacation rental condos, whether it be on the south side, west side of here on the beautiful island of Maui.
Mm-hmm.
But it operates in such a unique manner. And so when we're doing open houses, we get a lot of visitors from the mainland, coastal, Canada, Texas, anywhere, what have you. But one of the first questions are, what is this? What am I getting myself into? What are the rules of the road?
Right.
And it becomes that's a big question to bite off in just a short amount of time when you just meet somebody.
Sure.
So I want to have this large abstract conversation. It'll probably go for about an hour, but this way we can just kind of tell somebody, hey, watch the podcast, watch this episode.
Yeah.
You'll go from stage 1 to stage 5 really quick.
Right.
And everything that we talk about are definitely guidelines. Like
Sure.
none of this is, take it to the bank kind of stuff. We're not financial advisors. We don't have our SEC
Sure.
license or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we practice what we preach. We
Mm-hmm.
know the art form of it, and we definitely know how to help somebody A, get the best deal in today's market,
Yeah.
and B, how to maximize their rate of return on the rental income side.
Sure. Right. And to ensure the proper maintenance of the property from an ongoing standpoint as well.
Yeah. So everything in between client management as far as customer satisfaction,
Yeah.
the acquisition from should we buy a condo that has a little bit more wear and tear and flip it and get
Right.
it prepped for
Sure.
a market like that, or are you better off buying something turnkey?
Yeah.
Are you better off buying an oceanfront, 1 bedroom versus 2 bedroom, ground
Yeah.
floor versus top floor? We get all those questions, and a lot of my answer to it is it depends.
Yeah, for sure.
It really is subjective,
Yeah.
right? But we're going to try and break this down as objectively as possible.
Okay.
So I guess let's just scale it back. You're pretty new to the island. You're a buyer. You're looking obviously some little bit of lifestyle and some sort of a vehicle to supplement the overhead while you're traveling to Maui. You don't want to just waste a lot of money on hotels
Sure.
or pay somebody else's mortgage.
Right.
What would be your just number one thing up front that you would want somebody to know or begin a conversation in that manner?
Well, it first of all starts with zoning, first of all, whether or not the condominium itself is zoned for vacation rentals or if it's a residential condominium.
Break down what the difference is for our viewers, because there's a huge difference, and that is the number.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good
that's the
question.
number one distinction, right? So, anything that can be rented less than 180 days or less is considered a vacation rental type condominium. Anything that doesn't allow rentals more than less than that is considered a residential condominium. And then within those subset of parameters, individual HOAs will have, say, more strict parameters on, maybe it's got to be 30 days or more. And so there's that extra layer of regulation that you need to be adhere to. So, that you really got to start there and make sure if that's your goal to rent the property out on a short-term basis, that one, you can do it legally. Yeah.
All right, so Jeremy, I'm a buyer. My budget is about 500 grand. I want a 2 bedroom, and I want it to be vacation rentable.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I want to be able to travel here and block off some dates,
Sure.
vacation in my unit, and then rent it out on a nightly basis.
Right.
All right, so now we've analyzed that, figured that out. You can cross off 50% of the inventory because some of it's going to be long-term rentable only.
Yeah.
All right, let's not look at that, Mr. Buyer. Here's a list of product that I have for you. It's all vacation rentable, all, allow for nightly rentals.
Yeah.
All right, so you've made that determination. What would be your next phase to that?
I really try to educate my buyers, and I do work with a lot of buyers that are purchasing these types of properties, and I try to educate on three main facets.
Okay.
First and foremost, lifestyle. Like what are you looking to accomplish? Do you want to be on a golf course? Do you want to be on the ocean? When you're visiting here with whomever it is, what size of a property do you need? Do you need a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom? Is a studio fine? So, all of those aspects of lifestyle, I think you really need to start there. And then I think secondarily, I like to, get an idea of if they're looking at a specific, if they're looking to say break even with like, 20-30% down,
Yeah.
or, if you're trying to attain a specific cash on cash ROI and you want a specific percentage because you're measuring it against other, more typical investment vehicles. So I think that would be criteria number two. And then number three, I always try to look for potential for appreciation. Hawaii is a equity based market, and that's you can derive substantial income in the short term, but where you're really making your runs financially is an equity standpoint. And so
Yeah.
looking for markets that have those strong ingredients for strong capital appreciation.
Exactly.
So that's kind of what I'm looking at.
Yeah. And that really breaks down to the age-old adage in real estate is location, location, location. This is a
Yeah.
small island, but you need to know where to focus the best bang for the buck as far as, all right, am I paying a premium for oceanfront, but is that okay because the second and third buyer in are willing to pay that premium and then some due to
Sure.
scarcity for your oceanfront?
Yeah.
Versus sometimes, hey, I might be across the street, but this complex might have been built 5 years ago. It's newer, it's shinier. I'll run with that for 5 years and then sell it when it starts to lose its shine a little bit.
Right.
And everything in between, such as pools, amenities,
Yeah.
gyms, that lifestyle aspect where people kind of fall in love with the curb appeal.
Yeah.
And, how close are you to some of the best beaches in the world? How close are you to town? How convenient is traffic and all the other things? Weather
Yeah.
patterns are a huge factor of that.
Sure.
And we know those things, right? We know where the best deal is to be had and what the best complexes are most ripe for future appreciation.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in this market, but odds are this complex over here should just operate better than this complex over here in an up or down market.
Well, right. I mean, history repeats itself. So, I mean, when you have a longer standing project or neighborhood or something like that, I mean, you can look at market trends throughout the course of the year. With new development, I mean, in many instances, that's kind of setting a new bar. And, there's a little more speculation involved there.
Correct.
However, I mean, I think it's hard to look at any new development real estate in Maui and probably even Hawaii as a whole that those purchasers who got in originally have done pretty well on their investments.
Yeah.
Maybe the exception being
The bubble burst.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you're buying a new development project in,
05 to,
yeah, 05 to 07,
You took your licking, but the rubber band, as you can kind of see in charts, snapped back faster than projects that might have been built in the 80s, 90s.
Oh, completely. I mean,
Yeah.
who doesn't want the newest and shiny toy on the
Well,
block?
especially on an island that's incredibly hard to develop on.
Correct. Yeah.
Short-term vacation rental condos. I don't know if there's anything on the map right now for the island as a whole. There's a few little pockets of stuff, boutique stuff, like an add-on to like a
Right.
but an oceanfront condo complex vacation rental.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. I mean, yeah, off the top of my head, you mentioned Honuakai, and there's the Luana Enclave coming on with 72
Yeah.
fee simple 3-bedroom units, starting construction early next year. But other than that, you mentioned that level of government. There's with a select with limited inventory here, and people wanting places to live here on a long-term basis, there's not exactly a lot of political
Motivation.
motivation exactly to go develop a lot more
Yeah.
short-term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're a little bit in an affordable housing crisis, and
Sure.
so that's where policy is being, the energy's put into those types of departments and
Yeah.
those type of plans, and building estates or income or entry-level
Right.
residential properties.
Well, and the other side of that is that the existing short-term projects that are here already, I mean, they're
Yeah.
not building more of it. I mean, what does that tell you? Limited supply,
Exactly.
very strong demand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not building to keep up with growth.
Sure.
And so your economic woes come from a different place. Whereas typically on the mainland, take a Las Vegas market, for instance, is construction comes in during really healthy booming markets and they build out on the outskirts. And when there's a crash, now you have saturated inventory, and then there's that rubber band effect, and people start going back to where the value spots are closer to the city.
Right.
With Maui, it's not so much a inventory crisis because developers have come in. There might be a economic crisis as far as the downturn, recession.
Sure.
And so people start dumping their toys, or travel starts to kind of drop off.
Right.
Maybe there's something going on with the airlines, or just wars, or things of that nature.
Lending regulations.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's where we kind of see these ups and downs, and a few things in between, of course.
yeah.
But it's pretty relatively straightforward. The inventory that you're dealing with,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit easier to project for any new kids on the block coming down 5 years down from the road,
Right.
and be able to, all right, this is my baseline, here's my criteria.
Yeah.
Can you help me out, Jeremy? This is what I want. And
Right.
then us going to them and saying, all right, this is the reality. Reality is, if you want to put down 20% and break even, I can't really help you.
Yeah. It's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's just the rules.
Well, and furthermore, on that note, because a lot of the vacation rentals here are classified as a condotel, which generally speaking is that if there is a front desk rental entity operating on site there, the vast majority of the time it's classified as a condotel,
Yes.
which the lenders are far more stringent on. They're actually going to be looking at, typically speaking, 30% down or more. In some select instances, 25%, but those are select. And then they're going to want to see additional cash reserves in the bank and those sorts of things. So, I mean, it's a very highly scrutinized loan. It takes longer, much longer, probably twice the length as you would on a normal residential loan. Right. Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
And, there's only select lenders that will do them.
Exactly.
And typically, I mean, fortunately, we get a lot of questions, what are the rates like on these sorts of things? And fortunately, there's not too much of a premium on these loans. It's just a matter of whether or not you qualify for them.
Yeah.